Empower Black men to live extraordinary lives. Shatter the stereotypes. Power Black men, shatter the stereotypes. Power Black men to live extraordinary lives. Shatter the stereotypes. Shatter the stereotypes. Power Black men to live extraordinary lives.
Welcome to Shatter the Stereotypes, where the intention is to empower Black men to live extraordinary lives. This show is based on the simple idea that every Black man is capable of creating inner peace, dynamic health, great relationships, and financial abundance. Therefore, we provide insights and strategies to educate, motivate, and inspire Black men to reach their full potential and create the life of their dreams. So if you're ready for some high-octane motivation and inspiration that supports and empowers you to live the life you were born to live, get ready to shatter the stereotypes so you can build a life that lights you up and positively impacts the world. So now, let's shatter the stereotypes with your host, Coach Michael Taylor.
Hello and welcome to Shatter the Stereotypes, where the intention is to empower Black men to live extraordinary lives. You see, there's never been a shortage of Black male role models. There's only been a lack of exposure of those role models in mainstream media. So my intention is to showcase and highlight Black men who are doing amazing things in the world. And recently, I read a comment on my YouTube channel. And this woman said that she didn't believe I should refer to Black men as men of color. Well, I definitely don't agree with that statement because for me, although this show is targeted specifically to Black men, what I understand is that, number one, we're all the same, we're no different, but I don't see Black as a color, but more of an experience. So as a man who happens to be Black, when I think about the civil rights movement and things like that, I think, okay, that's a Black experience. So I don't take anything away from any other men of color, but I think you can use those interchangeably. Black man, man of color, all the same, because to me, we're all the same. So I've got a guy on who is a man of color. He's a brother from another mother. And he's definitely shattering stereotypes and doing some amazing things in this world. And his name is Manuj Aggarwal. Did I say that right? I hope I did.
That's right. You got it. Yeah.
And he's an entrepreneur, he's a podcaster, he's a business consultant and speaker and author. And we connected on LinkedIn when he asked me a simple question. He said, will your audience resonate with the story of a brown immigrant who went from earning $2 a day to the boardrooms of Fortune 500 companies? And I went, absolutely, my audience will resonate because number one, those are amazing accomplishments. You overcoming all those adversities is what this show is about. But number two is the fact that you are a man of color who has not allowed that to slow you down. You have not let that be an obstacle for you. So you fit right into this conversation. So without further ado, let's welcome Manuj to the show. How you doing, man?
Good. Very good. Thank you so much. So excited to be here. Yeah, it's a great conversation to be part of, and I'm honored to be here with you.
I'm really glad you put that little call on LinkedIn. So we're going to talk about your area of expertise, which is entrepreneurship, business, and so forth. But before we do, let's start off with a few icebreakers. So first of all, tell us where you're from and tell us a little bit about your family, whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Sure. Originally, you can tell from my accent, I'm from India, northern part of India. I have two sons, 12 and 10. And so I'm a single dad. And yeah, that's about my family. My mom, she passed away about 3 years ago, and my dad is in India. So pretty much my entire family is in India. So I try to visit, but haven't been able to because of COVID. And so, yeah.
Sure. Well, there's another stereotype that you're shattering, right?
Mhm.
Black men of color who are raising their kids and being single dads. So let me acknowledge you for that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy.
Yeah, I was a single dad for a while too. Now my kids are grown, but I know that challenge. But you're up to it. I'm absolutely certain. So with that being said, name a woman who has inspired you to be who you are.
Name a woman. I think Oprah comes to mind. As you said, being a person of color is an experience, and it's like being a parent. You can read all the parenting books, but when you become a parent, then you understand, oh, this is what they meant to be a parent. So when you're ambitious, when you want to do something, especially, I have another sort of challenge to overcome, which is I'm an immigrant. So when I came to this country, my English was not as good, and so to overcome all those diversities, all those challenges, uh, I obviously needed to have some role models to see, hey, is this even possible? Like, am I thinking too crazy here? Like, you know, who do I think I am to be, to be able to uh, set these kind of goals for myself? And then when you read these stories about a person like Oprah, then you say, hey, you know what? Like, if you just stick to your guns and then keep going, anything is possible. And especially in a country like US or Canada, which is the proverb, which is the sort of the American dream that people talk about, and it is well and alive for people who really know how to go after it, right? So yeah, I mean, she inspires me every day.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you because, I would see Oprah, and like yourself, I would say, if she can do it,
Yeah,
maybe I can too.
yeah,
And another reason why I do this show is because I want to expose men of color, black men, however you want to say that, to people like yourself who did not allow their skin color to keep them from succeeding.
yeah,
Now, interestingly enough, a lot of times I get a lot of pushback from black folk because I'm an optimist, first of all, and that's the lens through which I see the world.
yeah,
But sometimes it seems as though I'm denying that there are things like racism and discrimination and all that, but that's not the case.
mhm,
What I'm saying is racism is real, discrimination is real, all those things are real.
yeah,
But my mom taught me a lesson at a very early age, and I'll never forget this. She said, Michael, if you want something badly enough, there is no one or no thing that can keep you from accomplishing it except yourself.
exactly, exactly.
Now, she told me this. I'm a 60s kid, right? So
Mhm,
she told me this back in the 60s when obviously you didn't have the opportunities that we
mhm,
have now. But that message, that lesson really stuck with me. And
mhm.
it is what has allowed me to far exceed what society says a young black guy with only an 11th grade education should have been able to accomplish.
Yeah, no,
So
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely.
So I'm living proof of what's possible. And
Mhm.
so that's what I do because I want men to know that it is possible if you're hungry enough. And that's the key, if you're hungry enough. Now,
Now, before you go further, let me ask you, what the hell do you eat? You don't look older than 30. So, like, what the hell is going on here?
well, I'm 60 years old.
Yeah.
I still feel like I'm in my 30s, but
Mhm.
it's really it's mindset, but it's also taking care of myself physically.
Yeah.
I don't eat a lot of junk food. I'm not
Yeah.
a health nut by any stretch of the imagination, but I watch what I eat. I make sure
Mhm.
I take care of my physical body. I go
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
gym 3 days a week.
Important, very important. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really take care of myself physically, which is really, really important.
Mhm.
So now, as you can see, I'm a big movie buff,
Yeah, yeah.
big Star Wars fan. So if you like movies, name one of your favorite movies.
I love comedy. I love to laugh. So, Wedding Crashers is one of my favorite movies.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Great, 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 funny, funny movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, if I gave you a magic wand and you could create anything your heart desired,
Yeah, yeah.
what would you be doing 10 years from now?
I'll be traveling the world. I love traveling. I love meeting people. I love um, learning about their life stories, their life journeys, new cuisines. I just love traveling. So that's what I will be doing.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. My wife and I both. I was divorced once, but now when I remarried, I said, the person that I married, she's got to love to travel.
Yeah, yeah.
that was a prerequisite, man. You had to love to travel. And my current wife and I, we love jumping on the plane and just going places. So that
Yeah,
was
that's
really,
awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, you learn a lot after going through one, right? So
absolutely.
you know what you want.
There's lessons there. There's
Yeah,
lessons to be learned.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if you, I guarantee you, though, if you get it right the second time, there's nothing better. I
yeah,
love being married.
yeah, yeah,
Now, with that being said, there are some people who are pretty pessimistic about the future,
yeah.
and there are others who are pretty optimistic about the future. So, where do you fall on that spectrum between optimism and pessimism for the future in general? Where do you fall?
I'm an extreme optimist. Yeah.
Mm,
Um, I mean, the thing is, if you like people who understand history, people who understand data, they need to see how far we have come as a species. Only 200,000 years ago we were living in caves and just sort of killing each other for food. uh, Now we are sort of all connected throughout the world. I mean, there is nothing outside of your imagination that you cannot just go on the internet, at least learn about it, at least find a person who is interested in talking about whatever the topic is. um, and if you don't call that progress, if you don't call that just a hockey stick growth, then I don't know what is. So uh, and to imagine that the power of technology is just about 5 6 decades old, and where is it going to take us? I mean, driverless cars are here. We can edit our own genes. So what else people want to see, to say, hey, we are making progress, in spite of all the problems. And the thing is, if we don't have problems, there will not be any progress. The progress happens because there are problems, and people get agitated by those problems, and they work on them, and find solutions, right?
yeah, absolutely. And and that's what's difficult for a lot of people to grasp, because you have to put it in context. As you mentioned, as human beings in our current form, we're approximately 200, 250,000 years old.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you think about it, you got to really think about this, because I actually wrote a book. My latest book is called "The Good News Is the Future is Brighter Than You Think."
nice,
Okay,
nice.
that's
Yeah.
the title of the book. And
uh,
and there's a guy named Rosling who wrote, or who did a little thing called The Joy of Stats, and he kind of
mhm,
mapped all that out to show the
mhm.
progress of humanity.
Yeah, yeah,
But in the book, I'm talking about, as a species, as a human species, 250,000 years old, let's say that, and you put that number in eternity, right? 250,000 years isn't even in a blink of an eye, right?
exactly, exactly,
And then
exactly.
when you kind of bring it down to, I'm 60, in my short 60-year lifetime, especially in this country, where we've evolved to. For example, I remember segregation.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
remember when Black people couldn't vote. I
yeah, yeah,
remember all this very,
yeah,
very
yeah,
vividly, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
now in my 60-year history, to just kind of imagine, wait a minute, we went from not letting Black people vote to voting in a Black president.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
How can you not see the trajectory of
Absolutely,
progress? So that's
absolutely.
that's the lens through which I see the world.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So, so with that being said, now I want you to introduce yourself professionally. So tell the audience about your companies and what you do.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm mostly, it's all about technology. So I've been in technology for about 30 years. I have 4 patents in artificial intelligence and machine learning. I have written a couple of books on technology. I mean, these are hardcore technology books. So if you really want to go to sleep, you can read them. I'm passionate about technology, education, because um, coming from where I'm coming from, if I didn't have the education, I won't be anywhere. So we give back, and we are teaching 180,000 students across the world, all the latest technologies, helping them get better jobs and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, we help companies realize the power of data. So we are focused on big data, artificial intelligence, blockchain. I mean, uh, the systems that I have built, they have served millions and millions around the globe. The least number I can count is at least 10 million lives have been impacted by what we have done. some of the projects that I've worked on, I try to focus on projects which move humanity forward. So a lot of healthcare projects, a lot of projects in education, a lot of pain sort of. I worked on a wearable device which relieves pain, joint pains, and some of the projects got noticed by Obama. He mentioned it in his State of the Union address. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation supported some of the projects that I worked on. So yeah, it has been a really interesting journey.
Outstanding. And that's exactly why you needed to be on this show, because that is so inspiring to see someone that's making such a major impact on the world. Now, I want you to share your story though, because you've accomplished a lot.
Mhm.
But there was a time when you were making $2 a day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Tell us that story.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I grew up in India in a very, very small town. So India is a quite a developed country now, but back then, like 30 years ago, it was very, very much developing countries. And I come from a very small town in northern India, and there were hardly any opportunities. There was not even there was only one higher education institution in the city, and so in order to get a higher education you had to like travel 6 hours 7 hours at least. So I started my career at 15 working in a factory, and uh, it was hard labor job, basically earning $2 a day
Wow.
and 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And that's what life is in developing countries, and in those times, like I felt like, this is not life that I had imagined, or I thought that there will be more to life than what I was doing. And I was just flipping through some business magazines in those days. They had business magazines in the office, and then I saw these business tycoons, earning billions, millions, and I'm like, these guys look just like me. They have, I mean, they have 2 ears, two eyes. I don't know what is so special about them. And obviously, by then lunchtime was over, back to work, but something stuck in my mind. And I didn't realize it at that time, but it sort of triggered something in me. I got myself enrolled into a computer course, and then sort of, just fell in love with programming, computers. And one thing led to another. Started working with a lot of startups, a lot of Fortune 500 companies. And I never thought, because when you come from that background, you are fighting not just the society but yourself, because you have such a low expectation of yourself that even if people tell you you are good, you don't believe it. It's like, uh, so it took me a lot of time, lot of sort of reinforcement to tell myself, hey, I think I have something more than what other people have. And yeah, I mean, that was the story. And even today I feel a lot of hesitance just talking about myself, because of the life I've had.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, as I look through some of your blog posts and I watched a couple of your videos, and it's pretty apparent though that you've invested a lot of time and energy in your personal growth and development,
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I've come to know that there are only two things that will cause a man to want to become involved with personal growth work. One is pain, and the other is what I call divine discontent, which
yeah.
is simply an inner feeling that something's just not right.
Yeah.
What was it that caused you to begin your personal growth journey?
I think it's a bit of both. Pain was the major reason, because as externally people see me as a successful person. Internally, I've been not as successful in my personal relationships. As I said, I'm a single dad, and even with my own parents, I didn't have a very good relationship, because they couldn't really understand what I was doing, what I was trying to do. Because once again, I had, uh, if you will, like, way too big of dreams for their thinking.
Sure,
and
I understand.
and
I understand.
and we were always at odds, because they always try to sort of tell me that, hey, you're thinking too big, or this is not going to happen, you are just going crazy here. So all these things were already agitating me. And then when I had my first kid, he won't connect with me. So that was like the breaking point for me, because I loved kids, and I had waited for that moment to have my first kid for the longest time. And it just broke my heart that uh, and it also made me realize that, hey, I've been blaming all the adults in my life, that you don't understand me, you don't understand me, you don't know what I'm talking about. But when my when a newborn is not able to connect, then you have to look at yourself and say, hey, there is something wrong here. What the hell is going on? And so that led me into deeper and deeper. I mean, I was in personal development, like, I was dabbling in that field for since childhood, like my high school. And but then after my firstborn, I was like, this life is not even worth living if I don't do something about it, if I don't figure out what the hell is going on. And that led me deeper and deeper and deeper into it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, who were some of the mentors and teachers that you learned from to help you transform yourself?
Yeah. So I'm not very religious. And what ended up happening was, I was looking for some answers, and I came across a few people locally who are more like shamans or spiritual teachers. And they taught me quite a few things about the mind, how it creates the reality that we experience.
Yes.
And first I was like, "Oh, I mean, you cannot be serious that I am creating this reality. You cannot tell me." And that's ridiculous. And then after a few, like, I got into meditation and things like that, and then I slowly started realizing what the hell I was doing. And uh, those were the two. So there were two shamans, two teachers, and they both are known. They know each other and they're friends. And so they really helped me grasp what the hell was going on. And then, because of my knowledge of artificial intelligence, um, I saw there was a continuity between the mind and how the artificial intelligence works. Because basically, our mind is a pattern recognition machine, and once a pattern gets embedded in our mind, we just keep living it again and again. So if we become pessimistic, everything in life is going to hell, and that's just a pattern. And artificial intelligence is also pattern recognition technology. So I was like, wait a minute. So whatever we all think differently because of our experiences, and artificial intelligence is basically synthesizing all that and telling us, okay, this is how majority of the people think. And so that all those things connected the dots for me, that this life can be anything that you want. And all you need to do is think a little bit differently, and the mind starts to pick up those patterns. And those were some of the key steps for me to realize where I was going wrong, what I was doing incorrectly. And sort of I needed help to course correct it and recognize it. But just that realization that the power is here, not outside somewhere, is was the key.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned that you're not very religious, but
Mhm.
I'm wondering, does spirituality play a part in your life today?
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So religious, what, like, I won't say I'm not religious, because at the end of the day, every religion teaches similar things which are very, very powerful. Meaning, love your neighbor means, love everyone. I mean, as you said, like, we all are similar, we all are human beings. We have different look, we talk different languages, but that's the essence of life. That is the beauty of life, that it we have so many different experiences. If we talk to other people, if we talk about their journey, we discover a new movie every day. you know so imagine living in a uniform world where everybody has the same experience, they talk the same language, they look the same. It will be a bland world, right? But the problem I have with religion is the organized religion, and I'm a Hindu, and there are so many customs and rituals, and the thing is, nothing wrong with any of that, but the people who are in charge, they make it a business out of it, and
Right.
that's what bothers me.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to find your own path.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I'm, as a matter of fact, I'm writing a book now,
yeah.
and it's the title of the book is "What If Jesus Were a Coach?"
Yeah.
And the whole intention is to remove all the negative religious connotation that people get from, because you say Jesus and people go a lot of different directions.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
so the content of the book, or the context of the book, is what if Jesus was just an ordinary guy
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that came to coach you how to
yeah,
live
yeah.
life?
Absolutely,
It's going to be
absolutely.
really powerful. I'm really looking forward to
And I think you got something there, because I think he was truly a
it.
coach.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
exactly. And the thing is, um, even the scripture, we read scripture, there are so many versions of it, and Hindu text, Jewish text, any like I have studied all of these texts, and the thing is, you realize everybody who writes, they have their own interpretation, so you really have to, as you said, you really have to find your own path and assimilate all these learnings, uh, based on your personal experience. But at the end of the day, all roads lead to the same destination.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I was an atheist for several years.
Hmm, hmm.
And like yourself, I studied the mind, and I'm really, I don't just believe what people tell me.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna do my research and come to my own conclusions about
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
things.
yeah,
So, like
absolutely.
yourself, I mean, I read all of the religious texts, and I went to all these different places, and I came to my own understanding
Yeah, yeah,
of connecting to what I call divine intelligence. That's
yeah,
how I see
exactly,
it. There's a
exactly,
divine intelligence that created and is still creating this amazing universe, and that's how I
absolutely.
see it. So,
Uh-huh.
don't have to have any organized religious title to it, but there
Yeah,
is
yeah,
there is something there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
When you connect to it, nothing's impossible.
absolutely, absolutely.
So, so for all the men of color out there around the globe who may believe that their skin color can keep them from succeeding,
Hmm.
what message do you want to send out to them right now?
you know the thing is that anything that tells you that you cannot do something, make it your power. Okay, so meaning, your skin color is not, you think that that is a disadvantage you have, make it your advantage, show it off, make it your strength. For the longest time, I told you, my accent, I used to be very uh, conscious of my accent, that I don't sound like North Americans, and people don't accept me as North American. But then I realize, hey, everybody talks the same, and I have a different accent. I should use it as my strength and say, oh, I sound different because I have different thoughts, and I have different ways of doing things, and this is the way I talk. So this is one lesson my coach gave me: anything that you think is a disadvantage, make it your power, because it may helps you stand out. The reason why people think that this is going to keep us down is because they think they are different from the normal, whatever other group they see as progressing, and they are not part of that group, right? So uh, another thing I will point out here: if you want to achieve something, you really need to stand out, because if you're same as everyone, there is no path to growth. A universal sort of, a universal growth pattern doesn't exist. So you have to be an individual to grow. You have to stand out. And what better way to tell yourself that I'm different and I'm better than other people, just because I look different, I sound different, I do things different, I walk different, whatever that is, make it your power.
Yeah, because you mentioned earlier about the mind and how the mind works. And from my perspective, as a man who happens to be black,
Mhm,
I have never in any way felt that being black was a disadvantage.
mhm, mhm. Yeah.
To me, my grandfather told me that if God made you black, he made you black for a reason.
Yeah, yeah.
And he says, so think of it like a playing a hand.
Mhm.
God dealt you this hand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Know that it's a good hand. You just
Mhm.
have to learn how to play your hand.
Exactly,
Play your
exactly.
hand to the best of your ability, and there's
Mhm.
absolutely nothing you can accomplish.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
so that's been my mantra since I was a kid. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I love the skin that I'm in, but I recognize that the color of my skin is not the source of my power.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
not the source of my power. All
Mhm.
right, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk about my favorite topic in the area in which you're an expert, which is entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
Now, it is my belief, this is just Michael Taylor's belief, that there has never been a better time to become an entrepreneur than right
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah.
That's just me. I think it's the best time ever.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
from your perspective, what do you
Mhm.
think about that statement?
That's absolutely true. I cannot agree more with you because, and even if you go back, we were talking about evolution, right? 200,000 years ago, um, we started off as entrepreneurs. I mean, there was nobody employing other people to say, "Hey, can you go kill a tiger for me, or can you go kill a rabbit for me? I'll pay you this much." Nothing. You were on your own. You had to go. You had to hunt. You had to bring the food home, and if that is not entrepreneurship, I don't know what is, right? So from that point where you had to figure out your own tools, you had to figure out where the animals lived, and you had to come up with your own strategies to kill them. Now anything that you need, you just google it, and within milliseconds you get the answer. When I started my career, like when I enrolled in my computer course the first time, I remember one programming book used to cost $50, and I could not afford that book. And there was no blog, there was no YouTube, no nothing. You had to figure this thing out yourself. So now, like, even now I code, and I can literally build entire programs just by googling and say, hey, how do you do this, how do you do this? I don't even have to type a single line of code. So if this is not power, if this is not like if this is not the right environment, then I don't know what is. And on the demand side as well, just because because of the power of the internet, people know what they want and they are searching for it. So both supply and demand have been really democratized by internet. So if people have the energy, if they have the drive, if they have the vision, all they need to do is jump in and not give up, and just latch on and not give up. Because I can tell you, most of the businesses fail because people either are not doing the right thing, they're not sort of in their own mind, they're not doing what they are good at, they're trying to imitate other people. And the second thing is they just give up too soon. And entrepreneurship is not easy, but I think it's the best way to understand yourself. Once you become a successful entrepreneur, you really know what you're good at, your strengths, your weaknesses, and everything. And there is no better time than right now. And as you said, like, there is another point I will mention, that uh, human evolution has had a very long sort of gaps between major inventions. When the fire was discovered, when the wheel was discovered, like hundreds of thousands of years passed by. And now, within the gap of 50, 60 years, we have cloud computing, we have artificial intelligence, we have CRISPR for gene technology, blockchain for distributed trust. Uh, uh, a lot of these technologies are coming together at the same time. It has never ever happened in human life, right? So you cannot even like, I'm a tech expert. I cannot imagine what next 20 years are going to be like, because I know today what AI is able to do is even beyond my mind is blown what AI can do today, right? But
Yeah,
in 20 years, 30 years, just like, you cannot imagine where we will be.
yeah, because it's accelerating. You
Yeah.
know, it's amazing. And again, I personally believe that there is a divine intelligence that created and is still creating this amazing universe we live in.
Yeah, yeah,
And evolution is simply the process through which this divine intelligence moves to deeper and deeper levels of complexity.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
human beings are what the divine intelligence uses to express that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That's how I see it.
Yeah,
And that's why
yeah.
I get excited just thinking about it,
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
because one of the silver linings of the pandemic is that it has challenged people to launch new businesses at a record pace. A lot
Absolutely.
of it was out of desperation,
Yeah, yeah,
because people were losing their jobs and they were just
yeah,
trying to figure out how to feed themselves and pay their rent.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what has happened is this whole information industry has exploded. I mean,
Mhm.
in ways that, people are sitting at home on the beach with their laptop, making millions of dollars with a laptop, just putting information out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
People are hungry for information.
yeah, yeah.
And so the people that are courageous enough to take their knowledge and put it out there and monetize it,
Yeah,
it's an infinite, I mean, it's mind-boggling
yeah,
of
yeah.
the opportunities that are out there.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
and think about this. You're in Canada, I'm in Texas. We're on this technology where I literally can beam this conversation around the globe,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and it cost me $14 a month.
yeah, 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 yeah.
That mind blown, right? It's just
Absolutely,
it's just
absolutely.
amazing
Yeah, yeah,
where we're going. So tell us about your company, Tetra Noodle,
yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
how it supports entrepreneurs.
I started my company about in year 2000, and when I came to Canada, I started working with a lot of with a lot of startups, and that was .com boom time, and I got a job very quickly. But then it was towards the end of the .com boom, so I also lost my job very quickly in the .com bust. And then I found another job in New York with another startup, and then September 11th happened, and then I got laid off from there as well. So I realized, this job security thing is not a really good good thing. And so I started a consulting company, and then I started working with a lot of startups, and building their technology. And then I got opportunity to build software for Microsoft, for Pearson Education, ING Bank, IBM, all these large corporations. And so I learned quite a few things about how startups work and how large corporations work. And then the interesting part was I started cross pollinating those ideas. So startups move very, very quickly, and large corporations, they are very, very slow. Large corporations, they do very systematically, very process oriented, and startups are very chaotic. So I started developing this expertise of cross pollinating, not only from different types of companies but also different industries. So I got experience in many different industries, from real estate, healthcare, education, logistics, consumer electronics, all of these. And so it was very interesting. All these problems are very common. It's not like all these people have like new problems. They are very common problems, but the problem is they never look elsewhere in terms of finding solutions. And other people have solved these problems in other industries, other countries, other fields. So when you have visibility on all these broad sort of solution tool set, you can cross pollinate that. And that was very interesting to me, that people don't do this quite often. They don't research, they don't talk to other people, and they live in their silos. And so now this is what we do. We help startups accelerate their growth, and we help large corporations figure out how they can move fast, how they can, you know like, believe me, like all these corporate CEOs, they know that these startups are coming after them. So they want to innovate fast, they want to move fast. So we help them figure that out. And then lastly, it's just the power of data. A lot of large corporations have accumulated decades of data, but they have no idea what to do with it. And when I tell them, look at the last 2 decades, the majority of the wealth created in this world was by people who really understand data. You look at Google, you look at Facebook, you look at Amazon. um, these people accumulated more wealth in 20 years than The powerhouses have accumulated in the last 200 years. You look at the major like Walmart, for example. Walmart family accumulated their wealth in probably 100 years, almost 100 years. Bezos came in and said, oh, in 20 years he left everybody behind. Why? Because he understands data so well, right? So that's what we do. We help companies understand data and then figure out how they can apply it and get ahead.
Now I'm curious, what is the Tetra Noodle name? What's behind that? What's that about?
Yeah. I actually created a short video on that. I'm an engineer, hardcore engineer. Okay, so marketing stuff doesn't come easy to me, and the first thing when you start a company is like, so let me go back. So when I started my company in year 2000, originally I named it Spider Communications because at that time, internet, we call it the World Wide Web, right? So
Right.
the web was new. I was like, the spider crawls the web, and we communicate. So I called it Spider Communications. uh, After like 10 years or so, people started asking, hey, is this a phone company? Like, do you install phones and stuff like that? I'm like, why are you asking that? They go, no, Spider Communication sounds like that. So I realized that the name is outdated now. And so I was trying to figure out what name should I give. And I frequently visit a local restaurant. It's called a Noodle Box. And I was sitting with my friends one day. And I was like, man, I can't figure out a name. Um, and so I was just jokingly I said, how about Square Noodle? We come to this place so often. I like the food and everything. He goes, oh, that's an interesting name. I'm like, really? I was just joking. So he goes, no, it sounds cool, catchy. So then I didn't want to use Square Noodle, so I just went with Tetra Noodle. And again, I didn't think it will catch on, but here we are.
There you go. Now, I've noticed a recent trend in business,
Mhm.
and more people are launching what's been called heart-based businesses.
Mhm.
Businesses that are focused on making a difference in the world while also making a profit.
Yeah,
Have you also noticed this trend?
absolutely. And it has accelerated, in 2020. As you said, people reevaluated their values. They reevaluated, what is important to them. What are they running after? Where are they spending their time? So uh, people spent 4 hours in commute time every day, and when they could not even catch a breath to stop and look at their life and say, what the hell am I doing? But then when things slowed down, they experienced what life could be, just living yourself, living, being you, being with people around you who you love and like. And I think that triggered something in the population around the globe. Even before that, I think the millennials, as we call them, they are more liberal, they're more value oriented, they are more focused on experiences rather than transactions. So the trend had already started, but I think 2020 just basically just accelerated that whole thing. So even moving forward, when I talk about artificial intelligence, if you again look at history, when machines were invented, before that, all our time used to be spent in the fields, or just toiling away, just laboring, right? But when machines were invented, we could take some time out, and then we had weekends, and we had 8-hour weeks, or 8-hour days, and we were free to do other things because machines were doing majority of the work. Now with artificial intelligence, our minds are going to become free, because even the jobs that needed our minds to sort of think, will be done by AI. So now our hands are free, our minds are free. What are we going to do? We are going to indulge in creative things. We are going to indulge in things which make us happy, which is talking to other people, connecting with them, as you said, heart-based activities. And so this is just the beginning, I think. And more and more around the globe, people will be just, I think we will have new types of jobs, new types of businesses which haven't been even conceived of.
right.
which will be all about connecting with others.
Now, of course, I think the reason so many people are scared of AI is because they watch too many Terminator movies.
Mm.
They're thinking AI is going to take over the world and destroy everything or whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm excited about AI. Some of the
Mhm.
things that they're doing. Again, I believe because AI transcends ethnicity. You don't even have to have degrees anymore. You can, like you said, you can go on Google and learn how to do coding, and I mean, you
Yeah.
can jump in this thing if
Yeah.
you're really committed to it.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. I just think people need to turn off the news, stop buying into all this negativity, start asking themselves some deeper questions. Who am I? Why am I here? How do I fit in this whole thing? And their
Yeah.
life will be better.
Yeah.
Now,
Absolutely.
I wrote a book titled The New Face of Entrepreneurship, an
Uh-huh.
entrepreneur's guide to joy, passion, and profits in business.
Uh-huh.
And in the book, I talked about the three different types of compensation an entrepreneur should receive.
Uh-huh.
Now, as an entrepreneur, I want to share how I prioritize my compensation.
Yeah. Yeah.
First, I have what's called spiritual compensation.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Spiritual compensation arises from a belief that I'm fulfilling a divine purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's my
Okay.
first form of compensation, spiritual
Yeah.
compensation.
Yeah.
Second, second is emotional compensation, which means providing my products and services makes me feel good,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
just makes me feel good. And
Uh-huh.
last but not least is financial compensation, which means I am paid handsomely for the products and services I provide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I believe one of the greatest challenges entrepreneurs face is they only focus on financial compensation.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
They
Yes.
don't think about the other two types of compensation. So, what do you think about those three types of compensation, and
I
would you
love
agree
this.
with
I love this question. I love this. As I mentioned earlier, I believe entrepreneurship is a path to self discovery, because the thing is this: most entrepreneurs, they become entrepreneurs just because of they don't want to work for the man, or they want to make a lot of money. They have very like not very clear goals or reasons to enter entrepreneurship. And generally, if they're not clear on why they are doing this, what are they doing, they face a lot of challenges. I mean, entrepreneurship is all about challenges, but they face extra challenges. And once you dial down into exactly what you are good at, because as human beings, we may think we are good at everything, but generally we are just good at maybe two three things, that's it, right? And if you just focus on those two or three things, everything falls into place, because then people start to join you and support you in ways where they are good at those other things. I'm not good at marketing. I struggled, then I found people who are good at marketing. I'm not good at sales. Okay, I struggled, then I found some people who are good at sales. But if I said, okay, I'm gonna just try and do everything, I will still be struggling. So this notion of self-awareness, being aware of what you are good at and applying it, uh, and become the best that you can become in that just one slice of thing that you're doing in your business. I think once you realize that, once you get to that point, everything becomes easy, first of all. And you have that satisfaction, just like you mentioned, that spiritual satisfaction, that now you really recognize who you really are. When you look at yourself in the mirror, you know you are really, really, really good at uh, coaching. You are really, really good at writing. You're really good at podcasting. You're really good at graphics, whatever that is, right? And everything else is uh, taken care of. And once you have that knowledge about yourself, that is the spiritual benefit or the earning that you receive, which I believe is the highest form of earning, because everything flows from that. I mean, money and everything is energy. Once you have that spiritual energy, it just circulates, it just comes and goes, and it's a cycle that starts, right?
Yeah, because one of the things I coach people on as an entrepreneur is I believe entrepreneurship is just another form of creative expression. So you have artists who paint,
Yeah,
right? You have writers who write. You have singers who sing. You have dancers who dance. You have entrepreneurs who build companies.
exactly, exactly,
And I believe entrepreneurship is really just it's just a form of creative expression.
exactly.
Now, I didn't go to school to learn how to write books, to
Yeah,
publish
yeah,
books, but I love books so much.
yeah.
I learned. I mean, I sent one my very first book I wrote in 1994, right?
Wow.
And this was before the internet.
Yeah, yeah,
So when you wrote books back then, what you had to do is to get it published, you had to send query letters
yeah, 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 yeah,
to publishers, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I sent my manuscript to 60 different publishers.
Uh,
I got 59 rejections.
yeah, 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 yeah,
The last one, the very last one, and this was over a period of about 9 months.
yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
last letter I got, someone was interested.
yeah.
And I was like, all right. So I call a lady on the phone
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and she says, look, I love your book. She said, I think you got a great book. She says, but there's a small problem. I said, what is it? She says, well, my research shows, because the book was targeted to Black men.
I
She
see.
says, my research shows Black men don't really buy books.
Mm. Mm.
Now, she wasn't being racist.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
just
yeah,
had data,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
That
yeah,
said, this is
yeah,
which I didn't get upset or
yeah,
offended.
yeah,
She
yeah,
said, look, if you're willing to change the title and some of the content, she says, I'd love to publish your book.
yeah.
Now, at the time, I could have used that little $2,000 or whatever
Yeah,
advance.
yeah,
But
yeah,
see, there was a part of me that felt I would have been out of integrity with myself to do
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I said, I really could use the money, but I can't do that.
yeah,
I said that would be like asking a father to change his child's name,
yeah,
right?
yeah, 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 yeah,
And so I turned down the offer. I said, you know what? I'm going to figure this out on my own. So what did I do? I started reading books. I went to the library. I even got a job at a bookstore
Uh-huh.
part-time to learn the publishing industry.
Nice, nice, nice.
And that's how I launched my publishing company because I had a passion for something, books. I wanted to share my own message. And now here I am 9 books later,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm doing what I absolutely love.
yeah.
And again, it's if I never sold a single book, I would still write books
Exactly, exactly, exactly.
because
Yeah,
I love books, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I mean, I just, I could not, like, it resonates with me so much because that's exactly how I think about entrepreneurship as well. That if you do what you love doing, irrespective of whether you make money or not, then you find success. But most entrepreneurs don't do that. They just keep looking. Oh, look, oh, he's doing that. Let me try that. Oh, he's doing that. Let me try that. Right?
yeah. And so one of my goals is to become a billionaire. Okay, this is one of my goals. Now,
Yeah.
I define a billionaire as someone who positively impacts the lives of 1 billion people.
Awesome. Awesome.
Now, that's how I define billionaire. Now, think about that though. If I can positively impact the lives of 1 billion people, there is no way that my bottom line can't show $1 billion,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
So that is my goal. That is my dream, my vision that I've been working on for a very long time. But it's driven by those 3 types of compensation that I talked about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I understand it as my divine purpose. It's why I was put on this planet, right? I have the means of creating this is something that again I'm working on outside of my publishing company,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's designed to make the world a better place.
Amazing.
So it is a heart-centered business. It is a what I call compassionate capitalism, because as you mentioned, everything is just energy, right? And we're just exchanging energy. So I say, when you make a commitment to making the world a better place, the universe will support you
Yeah, yeah,
in doing that.
yeah, yeah.
And it brings in all the things you need to make that happen.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Now, with that being said, I'm wondering from your perspective, does intuition play a part in your success?
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, intuition is is what drives you. It's like a GPS that you have. um, like, I'm bad with I'm bad with direction. So if I didn't have the GPS, I get lost all the time. Or even if you are good at reading maps or anything like that, let's say you want to go to a new address that you have never gone to. If you don't have directions, if you don't have a map, if you don't have a GPS, you are going to be going all over the place in circles. So intuition is our GPS. But the problem is that intuition is going to tell you to go this way, and there are going to be hundreds and hundreds of people telling you, do not do that, do not go there, this is safe, just stay where you are, don't move, you know so you have to have the power to listen to that intuition and take those steps. But intuition plays a huge part in that.
Yeah, because to me, that intuition is that still small voice that will guide you
Yeah,
if you're courageous enough to listen to it, because where it guides you may not make a lot of sense.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
But if it feels right, see, because
yeah.
now I'm to a point where I trust how I feel more than what I think.
Absolutely. Yeah, 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 yeah,
If it feels right,
yeah, yeah.
more than likely it's going to be the right way, right direction to
Exactly,
go.
exactly.
Now,
Yeah,
with that being said, you also offer coaching programs.
yeah. For
So
startup founders. Yeah,
for starters, for
yeah, yeah.
startups. So tell us a little bit about those for someone who's thinking, I'm thinking about maybe becoming an entrepreneur. I don't know where to start. What can you share about that?
Yeah, so one of the things, as I said, I'm very passionate about education. Even though I don't have a very stellar educational record, but I learned on my own. Just like you mentioned, you learned the publishing business. And so uh, after spending so much time in Silicon Valley, so many deals I've seen, so many investors I've talked to, I just find that, once again, just like in life, people have misconceptions about startups, about business. One of the biggest misconceptions that Silicon Valley and media has hyped is raising money. So the I talk to so many startup founders. They say, I have a brilliant idea, it's going to change the world, all I need is $1 million, that's it. And I've been looking for that $1 million for 3 years. I'm like, okay, so what did you do in the meantime, in 3 years? Nothing. Okay, what did you do to talk to people about your idea? What did you do to invest in yourself? Anything? No, I'm just looking for the money. Can you help me? So this misconception that you need to raise money to build a business, and then even if you raise money, people celebrate that. And I'm like, did you know that you gave away part of your company? Money is power. So somebody gave you money, that means they have power over you now, right? They're going to ask you questions. So and then on top of that, people, first time entrepreneurs, they get $1 million, 7 figures in their bank account, they go nuts. They haven't seen that much money before, and so they go out, buy fancy offices, fancy furniture. I'm like, this is not how business is done, you
Right.
know so all these like little things, it bugged me so much that I started this very low cost uh, coaching program for startup founders to tell them, this is how real businesses are built. It's about people. It's not about how fancy your logo is. It's not about how fancy your website is. It's about, how do you think about people, how passionate you are about solving their problem. Because nobody gives a damn about how many colors you have in your logo. Nobody gives a damn about how much money you raise. They are focused on their own problems. How are you going to solve their problems? Have you given a thought about that? So that's what I teach. And it's a low cost mentorship program where i I tell them about uh, the human side of business. I tell them about how to be satisfied in what they're doing, find that purpose, that, as you said, find, because the first 3 modules is just talking about them. Find yourself, you know and only then you go to the next level. You start something. If you don't know anything about yourself, you're not going to be successful. You're just going to go around in circles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So how can people find out more about your coaching programs and your companies? Where do they find you?
Yeah, go to tetranoodle.com or my website manuj.pro. or the full website is Manuj Aggarwal, which is a little bit longer. Or connect with me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is best, and I'll be happy to help.
And there'll be a link below this video. So if you look below the video there's a link that'll take you straight to his website. So with that being said, as we wind down, boy, time flies when you're having fun. I now want to give you an opportunity just for your final thoughts to the audience based on the conversation we've had, whatever's on your mind and heart to say.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, life is short, and uh, I have almost, assuming I will live a little bit longer, I think I have wasted half of my life trying to please other people, trying to live by their rules, trying to, not think too big, just not to upset other people, because they made me believe to think small, and not to do that. If you, as you said, Michael, if it feels good, that is the right thing. No matter how crazy you think that thought is, that is your intuition telling you, you can be a billionaire. Don't let anybody say that's a crazy idea. It could be a crazy idea, but the billionaires of the world also had that crazy idea, and that crazy idea turned into a reality.
Absolutely.
Only if you believe, then it's going to come true. If you don't, and you have to believe it with full heart, you have to be willing to, like, put down everything on that belief, and that belief can come true. If you do not, then obviously it's not gonna, right? So this life is precious, and you just focus on anything that you want to experience, it will come true. But you have to really go after the experience, not, oh, I want to make money, I want to, nothing. Like, I want to experience, as you said, this is what I want to experience, and I'm going to go after it no matter what, and it'll come true.
Yeah, man. So the key, and this is my tagline as a speaker, my tagline is empowering you to transform your life from the inside out.
Yeah.
That's the key. No matter what you want to accomplish in life, it begins in here,
Yeah.
and it begins in here. The good book said, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Absolutely.
Because if you can change your mind, you can change your life. I'm absolutely certain of it. But
Yeah.
Manuj, it has been absolutely a pleasure. I'm so glad we connected. I don't believe in accidents. Everything happens for a reason. And we've been brought together for a divine purpose. And I know that we'll collaborate on something whenever.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
again, it is my absolute joy, man, to have had this conversation with you. Thank you for spending an hour with us on Shadow the Stereotypes. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I had tremendous fun. This was a very enlightening conversation, and you had such amazing questions, and even your life journey and your energy is so positive. So thank you so much.
All right. So I want to close. I'm going to try to remember one of my favorite quotes. I don't know if you guys remember the commercial by Apple Computer way back in the day, but it says, here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They aren't fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the one thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. Now, some people may see them as the crazy ones, but we see genius, because the people who are crazy enough to believe they can change the world are the ones who do. Think about that. I'm one of the crazy ones. I hope you join me. We'll see you next episode. Take care.